G'day and welcome to Inforunners. I'm joined by Batgirl, Algared, and Badges, and this is going to be our reactions of the RSI Galaxy ISC. So here we go, kicking it over. Here we go.
Multi-role ships in the persistent universe, by their very nature of the name, give you that flexibility.
They're intended to let you experience almost every part of the game. You can change between deciding to go off to a random planet and do some cargo missions, to changing your mind and decide to do bounty hunting and bringing a bounty back and putting them in your hold.
So now, as we're on the verge of getting into more lawless systems like Pyro, I think multi-role is a great advantage to have, because you don't know what's lurking around the corner and you'll be able to react to whatever comes at you.
And that's why we're introducing the Constellation's big brother, the RSI Galaxy. The RSI Galaxy is a multi-role vessel with true modularity.
Alrighty, holy crap. Is that a whole module, guys? Or is that individual modules just your first thought?
Don't know. We'll find out in just a second. Keep playing, I guess.
Look how big that hangar is. Holy shit. All right, keep playing.
It has different sections of the middle of the ship that can be changed out to support significant and real gameplay loops.
It is built on the same kind of ethos as the Connie, but it's scaled up to a larger crew size.
The Galaxy has a very industrial feel compared to previous iterations, and the Constellation is a prime example. It has far less...
So that's a good image. That
It's not
shows
it taking, the saddlebags out of a prospect.
So that's the refinery module that they talked about.
Yeah,
that was leaked. But the other thing is this image shows you the scale of it.
Bloody big.
It's not a small ship.
It's 3 prospectors long, at least.
Well, they talked about it having large crew as opposed to a Connie. So we're talking...
6 is the crew size, Algared, that's been leaked.
I was only going on what they said.
Yep, that's fine.
Looks like it's about four lengths of it.
Yeah. So that makes it, if I'm not mistaken, at least 90 meters long. I could be wrong on that, but at least 90.
What's that Carrick size?
A Carrick is 128 meters. The largest, like the metric of the hangar for those ships is 130. So if it's 90, it will be in the same hangar, but it will have more room. But I'm thinking it's bigger than that. I'm saying it's at least, because look at the prospector there in the image. You put 1 behind it and then maybe 2 in front of it. It could be 4 long, and if it's 4 long, that makes it 120 meters. So I could be, that's just rough math, right?
Less full.
I'd guess around 120.
Yeah.
Focus on its combat capabilities.
It's not a warship, so it's not bristling with guns, but it's got what it needs. We were just going for a ship that when you saw it, it just looked like you want to just get to.
Someone's saying S4 turrets.
Oh, all right, that's big.
Oh, that tells us the size of a hangar.
Yeah, someone's saying S4. It's size 5s, by the way. They've already stated that. Man, I'm in love. I don't want to spend more money.
You did say Execute earlier in the week that you had a feeling that they would bring out another ship you were going to have.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it's
so nice.
So I'm already in.
I'm
that zone.
If this is so technically speaking, if that is a tiny one, so essentially if it's like, you know how the 890 jump has 2 tinies, if it's a tiny. It's not going to be that expensive. But if it is literally a small, which is aka Polaris Odyssey, that literally puts the price up to that same mark as them. But I'm getting the feeling, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a tiny hangar because of the prices. Now, what are your thoughts?
Look at the size of it.
Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts? Tiny or small?
Tiny.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think
I'm looking. Yeah, I'm looking inside it to see, and I think it's a tiny. The width of it, I don't think it's going to fit something bigger than that.
Yeah. So the interesting,
definitely an Aurora, definitely this.
So the interesting about that is that there is like it gets a little bit from all these different ships. Like it gets one of the pads from the 890 jump. It gets a bit of the Caterpillar stuff. It gets a bit of Carrick stuff. Like it is unique because it's borrowing from so many different things. I really like that. All right. Oh, some people in chat reckons it's small. Yeah. Okay. We probably need to start calling pads based on their number because they actually have size 1 through to 6. So I'm literally, don't quote me on this, but I think it's a size 2 is what I'm trying to say. Because you got the ones that you have at a landing pad, like a vehicle one, and then you got the one up where you can get the smaller fighters and the smaller ships and stuff like that. So you could technically get an Aurora in this. So it's kind of like one step up from a Carrick is probably the easiest way.
Does it look like it will fit a cutter?
No, cutter goes into small, not tiny. So we need one day we need to sit down and actually start talking about size 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 6 because it's very confusing for those that because there is an internal and an external naming convention, and that's why it's so confusing.
If I expect, but from a look of that it's the same size hanger as the Carrick has, and the Carrick hanger you can physically get an Aurora in there comfortably sitting properly. So
I think you could physically fit it in there. I don't think you could spawn it in there though. But hey, we'll wait and see.
What I'm looking at is that back bulkhead. If you look in there, there's a bulkhead. It's not going back that far. I think it's just about the length of this ship.
That's a door there. You know, one of the the Caterpillar hexagonal doors. That's what that is. So yeah, it's cool. I'm loving it.
Together with your friends, get that thing off the ground, turn it around, and just fly as far as you can.
For me, I think the favourite thing about the Galaxy is just the look of it, in conjunction with the layout. It does keep that classic RSI sort of subcapital shape to it.
It's even got an Aegis thing going on here. If you've seen the top of the Eclipse, it's got a similar thing on there. Interesting. I don't know. All right.
We've got the nice big exposed engines with we're starting to bring like metal onto the engines, like a kind of a titanium material to complement the kind of cooler greys and blacks of the rest of the superstructure.
For me, RSI goes into kind of 2 different groups. You've got the slightly kind of more bulbous shaped ships, and then you've got this really aggressive arrow-headed kind of stance. And I think for me, the Galaxy kind of really falls into that arrow-shaped kind of, driving the ship forward.
I think I'll just point out that's a different skin.
So yes. It is also, there's only 2 of those arrowhead ships as opposed.
Yeah.
So am I right in that the cockpit looks like they just pulled the Connie cockpit and attached it to it?
Yeah, there's a few little less struts, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think all of you would agree that it borrows heavily from all the other, like I can see everything in this ship as in all our other RSIs. Like I see the Perseus, I see the Polaris, I see the Connie,
the Apollo.
I even see the Mantis, believe it or not.
Well, you can see, I see the Mantis just on that picture from the white wing kind of bit. You can almost see that length of the Mantis kind of there.
And the engine pods definitely look like the Connies if you look at them closely.
Badges, do you see all that too, or is it still put too much Perseus for you?
No, it's there's common design language in all of them. I can see in the bridge Mantis and Connie certainly. They've got the RSI design language down pat, according to this.
Real quick military question then. They're all remote turrets. Is that a strength or a weakness for you?
Pass.
Not sure. To be determined. Okay.
Well, I think turrets are in such flux at the minute. Strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, not having people in the turrets, you can, if someone targets your turret specifically to disable you, it means you haven't got some squishy human being sat in the middle of that turret, and all they're taking out is the turret and not a turret plus 1 crew. The downside of that is that if, and judging by the bridge image we saw a little while ago, this might be the case, as in the deck plan, that if everyone's sat in the same place, that's also a weakness. If a fire breaks out in that compartment, or it starts to take damage, loses atmosphere, whatever, all your squishies are in the same place. So it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, really.
Yep. All right.
The interior architecture of the RSI brand is something that I really enjoy because it's got those nice upturned classic sci-fi walls that sort of canter in at the top. And it is a bit of a challenge designing those because it means they need a bit more room inside the vessel. So you just got to make sure you've got a bit more space. But when you've got a bigger ship like the Galaxy, there's enough room in there to get your accommodation for your 6 players, all your functional habitation and recreation and all your kind of crew positions and everything. There's enough room to do that and have these cool extra wide corridors with a nice architecture.
Starting at the bridge, it's a central bridge that looks down onto the main part of the ship.
Wow.
It's a very nice bridge.
Wow. And they said 6 players.
Yep.
So it's 6. Crew of
Yep.
6?
So the leaks were correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I really like that.
Yep.
Directly behind that.
Sorry, Algared?
I said I do like that. And the modularity could, given the way we're talking about the living quarters and all that, I reckon this would be, if there's an exploration module, this kills the Aquila.
There isn't one from the leaks.
Just because it.
Yeah. I'm just saying there isn't one from the leaks, though, so don't hold your breath. All right, here we go.
But that would be just because of the living amenities versus the Aquilas, which I expect will be updated at some point anyway. So
Agreed.
In the top deck, you have the habitation section. So you'll have a shared habitation space, and then moving further back, you have individual bedrooms, as well as the captain having their own office as well as bedroom. Behind that, you have the engineering section that looks down onto the hangar area. And it's probably one of my favourite parts of the ship, because it has a nice look down onto the actual hangar, which is a rear-loading hangar, which is really cool in my opinion. The floor beneath that is where the module is, within the centre of the ship. It's a
Actually, I've just realised, unlike all the other ships we've seen, this is, as you said, this is a rear-loading hangar. All the other ships are top-loading. That's interesting.
Yep.
That's really interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Wonder what benefits that will bring. We'll put it this way. If you're flying forward, you could fly and catch up to it. You don't have to kind of fly up and go down. So you could technically catch up and be at moving while this lands. You don't have to stop to get in, which is a huge advantage.
It's also the ship providing you cover as you land.
Yep, that's true.
Space for the different modules you might need. And directly connecting to the module section, there's the hangar.
There it is.
So the 3 modules that are available are a cargo module, which increases the cargo capacity of the ship significantly.
There's a refinery module, which is, it's got a sweet mechanism with the underneath where the cargo ramp opens, and we've got the saddlebag deposit. So this thing's going to work really well with something like a prospector.
And then the last one is a medical module.
The medical module is split into 2 halves. So in the very centre, there's a lift that'll bring you up. So if there's anyone injured in a vehicle, you can get them straight into the actual medical wings. Alternatively, you can use the hangar at the back.
Is awesome.
So
that's a lot of beds.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
So I'd have to assume they're tier 3 beds. So it's essentially, it rivals the Apollo, because see how it's 3 on this side and then 2 on this side. That means it is,
and then 1 to the left of your cursor.
Yeah. What is that?
I would possibly say.
Well, let's see what they say, and then
1, 2 2s, and 3 3s would be
that's
a bare minimum. But let's see what they say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
To fly someone in and unload them into the actual galaxy. Inside the actual medical wing, you have an assortment of different tiered med beds for whatever injury the person might have sustained.
So it looks like what I just heard there, and you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong here, is these are fixed, so you can't swap them like you can on other ones. So it comes with 1 1, 2 2s, and 3 3s, but you can't swap them out. Because listen to what he says:
1 3, 2 2s, and 3 1s.
No, it's the opposite, Nikki. 3s are the lowest tier, and 1's the highest tier.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
Med beds for whatever injury the person might have sustained.
I didn't go for
Which is weird.
Hang on, I didn't go.
Because the injuries are tier 3, but the bed that you need is a tier 1.
Yeah, they're actually opposite, and that's the problem.
That's
they released
crazy.
it. Yeah, and they don't want to retroactively fix it, but they need to.
An assortment of different tiered med beds for whatever injury the person might.
Yeah, so he's an assortment of different tiered med beds, but it doesn't. He doesn't say if they're swappable. But let's hope they make them swappable.
Sustained. Although it's been a while since we've showed off a modular ship or released any new ships that were modular, it isn't something that we wanted to move away from. Modular ships have a unique place in the universe because it helps push the multi-crew and multi-role ship. It's part of the reason why there's been less emphasis on multi-role ships in the universe recently. Now that we're getting closer to being able to deliver it, it's something we want to start revisiting again.
So does that mean we're going to get more modular ships that are better than this in the future? I've got to ask that question.
I've got to make a comment based on
Are we
something
working?
Happy Boyington has said in chat.
Mm.
Endeavour killer. You take that back. That is heresy. You are
Yeah.
in the Church of Endeavour and the cult of a crucible. That is... I'm horrified, Pappy. Horrified.
Cult of the Endeavour.
Right.
Anyway, so back to my original question. Do you think that means we'll get more modular ships in the future?
Yes.
I'm hoping they just fix the modular ships we already have.
Mm.
Yeah, because they're up for a
You know,
variety
get the Carrick. Yeah.
Carrick.
I think that's what he's in the middle of saying.
Yep.
Is that they've focused away from it
And now
because the tech's been so far, and obviously the fact that this is coming back out now means that they are getting closer to modular. That this is coming back.
Let's see what he has to say.
The RSI Galaxy is perfect for a group of friends who want to be able to try lots of different aspects of the game and not limit themselves to one individual part, who one day might decide that them and all their friends are going to go out and do a load of mining and refining, making lots of money from gathering resources. But then the next day might decide that they want to do some cargo hauling across the verse, so they go from one system to another, transporting huge amounts of goods. The next day they might decide that them and their friends want to have a battle, so they need someone to be able to heal people. It's a ship that allows them to experience the most of the game without limiting themselves.
Well, that kind of tells you right there how big it is.
And thank you, Walker Bait, for that
Yeah, it's like
$10 coffee voucher.
2.5 times the size of a Connie.
Yep.
I'd say
Volume-wise, not length.
Yeah, so if you look at it on the pad, that pad is essentially the metric to 130 meters. So it is literally Carrick and Caterpillar sized.
That's a good deal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I still think the Carrick is a better ship, personally, like looking at it on paper. So I'm now expecting between Caterpillar and Carrick. Like, it's the same as what I said before.
So it depends on where it falls the price,
But also,
right? So
it
if
also
it's-
depends on the modules. If they sell it on their own without modules, you know, and then $100 per module, it still goes up to $650. So, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. This is where my initial thoughts are. I don't need a cargo ship. I don't need a refinery ship, and I don't need a medical ship because I've got those all already. This is my personal thing I'm talking about here, right? So for me, I can technically pass on this, but it looks amazing. So yeah.
I don't want to pass.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah,
I'm going to need your help.
Yeah,
I'm going to need your help on my fleet. I'm going to
I
need
hate
to
it
fix my
because
fleet.
the enablers are going to make me want to buy it, and I don't need any help in that regard.
Yeah, Badges, what about you, man? Easy pass for you, or you?
I think it's definitely not a torpedo bomber.
It's not a Perseus.
It's really weird because, you know, the thing that kind of, I'll just come out and say it, grips my shit about stuff like this is that people see that it might have some modularity or some function that makes it similar to another ship, and instantly the response is, oh, it's an Endeavour killer, it's an Apollo killer, it's a this, that, the other killer. And it's just like, clearly they're not going to invalidate the other ships that they sell, because they still want to sell those ships alongside this one. This fits a really nice niche. This is the, I don't know if I want to do refining, cargo, or medical.
Yep.
Well, you don't need to buy 3 ships now, you buy 1.
Yeah.
And you earn the modules however you earn the modules.
Yep.
And you play it in game.
So the interesting,
you know, it's a
so where the ship lands then is it is essentially the large medical ship and it's the large refinery ship. Yep. So we now have a partner to the Expanse, and we now have the last link in the chain for the medical ship.
Yep.
Right. So
honestly.
Yeah. So that's what it is.
And I think with the medical module, it will be. I don't think they're going to be changeable beds. I think it's going to be the 3 3s, 2 2s, 1 1.
Again, it's concept. It may change, but I think you're right. Yep.
Because that way it doesn't tread too much on the Apollo's toes, which can change out the modules, but it's also not as good as
the Endeavour.
Endeavour, which can do multiple.
Same
ones, I'm assuming. So
same thing.
Would you be
Same thing for the refinery, because that refinery, there'll be a bigger ship than that, and there'll be a smaller ship than that between it and the Expanse. So they all fit. I think the thing that the massive draw card here is that's weird though is you guys correct me if I'm wrong, right? And this is and I'm talking purely statistics here. People that are into medical aren't necessarily going to be into refinery. They're kind of a bit separated more than most professions. Like where refining and cargo are a lot closer, where I think medical and refinery are a lot further apart. So I do find that those choices, they're very interesting.
I think this works for me because I play with people that are into all of those things. So for me to want to go play with one of my friends that's out in a mole,
and that's what I meant.
In a prospector.
That's what I meant statistically, though. Like they are further away than most other professions. Like for example, if it was refining and mining,
it would make sense.
It would make a lot more sense. And cargo.
But they're making a miner this size, aren't they?
They are. But you get what I'm trying to say. They're just a bit separated.
I got you.
And the cargo one's very generic. And so that, for me, is the kind of most least interesting one.
So how many SCU?
They did have a list of it. It was like 500 and something. It was 500. It's under the cat. Above the cat.
It carries 32 SCU standard. That's the back bit.
And then it was like 500.
And then 480 in the module, which combines to 512.
That's it. That's what I was trying to.
So it's more than a Carrick, less than a cat.
So it's slightly more than a. Yes, that's exactly correct. Yes. Yeah. All right. Let's continue.
The RSI Galaxy is the newest concept ship making its debut at this year's Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, and you'll get your chance to learn even more about it during RSI Day this Saturday, November 26th. But the Galaxy isn't the only rumored vehicle to arrive at this year's event. Anvil Day brought with it the brand new C8R Pisces, the space ambulance that some requested and many others never knew they quite wanted. Let's find out more as this IAE ISC continues.
The C8R is a new entry medical level vehicle. It's a variant of the well-loved Pisces.
We decided to make it a little bit faster than the regular Pisces, just so you can get to emergencies just that little bit quicker, slightly better for someone surviving. We have had to remove a little bit of the range. It's no longer a exploration ship like the regular C8 and the C8X. So it cannot jump quite as far as they can.
That goes along with what I said earlier when we were doing the buyer's guide, Batgirl. So
added
too
some
much
siren lights, so people can see when you're coming. We've also given it a traditional medical colouring, so we've gone for a nice little red and white.
The C8R is a variant of the Pisces, so it benefits from the paints that exist for the Pisces itself can be used on that, and the reverse is also true. So some of the more medical themed paints can also be put on the base one, which I'm sure people will find various interesting ways of using and misusing.
That looks like someone I know.
We have gone for a very clean style on the inside. When you step in through the ramp, you'll notice that there is some of the decontamination ports towards the bottom of the area. There's then a large frosted glass door that will open up. We have off to the right a tier 3 medical bed, and off to the left we've got some storage. We've got a fridge for you that's stocked up with a couple of meds for you when you get the ship. We've had to remove one of the jump seats that came with the regular C8. However, that's been replaced with the medical terminal.
It's also a great partner to the Carrick, which obviously has a tier 2 medical bed. So now Carrick owners can use C8R as a sort of a advanced medical scout to be able to ferry injured people back for further treatment.
I can see people using it for going out to bunker missions, just getting out there, doing all the murdering that they do, getting all the stuff back into Pisces, and then making sure that any nicks, cuts, grazes, or broken arms that they've got fixed before they move on to the next location.
The C8R is obviously for those sort of players who want to support other players in the game. It's never going to win a combat fight. It doesn't have the durability to last in engaged combat, but it is there primarily and almost solely to...
So there's a big advantage to the ship going into caves. That is a huge strength above the cutter. I never thought of that until they just showed it there then.
Also, I killed a Gladius in this earlier today.
There you go.
Good players or NPCs and keep them alive long enough to get them to somewhere to heal more severe injuries.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that special...
I just want to say that sign, every time I read it, it says, "What dick did we learn?" I always see dick. Yep. I don't see what did we learn. I see what dick every time. Anyway.
Vehicles, that was my first impression.
Will always have their place in the persistent universe, but that a more rounded, multi-role experience might just be what's needed out there in the less civilized regions. That the galaxy isn't just the Connie's big brother, but a return of player-facing modularity and potential harbinger for that system's future development. And that the new C8R Medical Pisces isn't just a standalone ambulance, but a solid addition to any ship with a hangar that can support it. Now, if you watched last week's Star Citizen Live IAE 2952 Super Talk Spectacular, you might have heard me mention about us finally pulling the curtain back on the Polaris internal layout rework this week. And here's where we have sort of a good news and bad news type situation. The bad news is that the shortened Thanksgiving holiday this week means we weren't quite able to get that going where we wanted it to be for this show. But the good news is that we'll have plenty of time to explore the new Polaris concept layout next episode. So hopefully with even a more in-depth look than we would have managed this week. So stay tuned for that. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate, and we'll see you all here next week.
So how much did the Polaris grow? Do we know that yet?
Let's talk about that in a minute. We've got to wrap up the rest of this first. So those of you that are on YouTube watching this after the fact, thank you for joining us. We're going to wrap up here. We're actually in the middle of a live stream, so that's just been our live reactions of that. If you want to follow us and don't forget to like this video, subscribe, ring the notification bell and all that jazz. And if you want to go the extra mile on Patreon, or come join us live like all the people in chat. 100+ people, so yeah. All right. With that, what would you like to hear in the comments below from people? Algared, what would you like to hear?
What do you think in terms of the modularity of this ship? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Are the different pods that dissimilar, or do they actually encourage other people to come in and use the ship?
We will be
enhance sales or take them away.
We will be doing a first impressions video too, by the way, Algared. So yeah. Badges, anything you'd like to hear from people in the comments below? You're muted.
Yay. Where do people think the C8R sits in relation to the Cutty Red?
Yep. Good question. Batgirl?
Yep.
How do you think this fits alongside the Apollo?
That's a good question too. Both ships, actually. I think they all got in the whole medical trees there now. There's 5 of them, which is more than I was expecting. So yeah, I was only expecting 4. So yeah, cool. All right, with that then, she's been Batgirl, he's been Badges, he's been Algared, I've been Execute, and we'll catch you in the next one.